All right, friends, welcome to Coaches Breaking Through with my co-host Devin. We're gonna be doing a couple to a few of these episodes per month, where Devin will be organic conversation. He'll be picking my brain on things that most of y'all probably want to hear anyway. So that being said, we're just gonna dive right in. What are we talking about today?
Everything and anything.
Yeah.
Something I've noticed is it seems like eventually for every man, there comes a bifurcation point where as the awakening process unfolds, you either become a guru meditator in a mountain cave somewhere, accelerating the evolution of consciousness and holding it all together for the world, or you go into the world and you start some type of philanthropic magnetic brand that can reach as many people as possible. These seem to be the two ways that, if you're fully actualizing yourself, the two inevitable paths that one must eventually choose.
And here I am wondering whether they're two paths or two lanes of a very similar path. Because in the 21st century, if we're operating in the Western world, coming down from the mountaintop is what creates the magnetic brand. I'm sure we'll find a better way to say that as we go on here. I mean, you know about my past lives reading, where according to that reading, I in one lifetime was a monk who could levitate, who could astral project as a ball of light and act as a spirit guide to people. And I chose to leave that lifetime to come down from the mountaintop. Now, did that in and of itself create a magnetic brand? Debatable. What goes into a magnetic brand is so much more than reading a marketing book and applying the frameworks. Like it starts with that, so to speak, journey to the mountaintop.
Yeah, I think that's the two paths I'm referring to. Is at some point we all have to go up into the cave. Do you stay in the cave and go deeper and deeper and deeper inward? Or at some point, do you reach that point where, like you said, you come back down and you share what you found with the world? And these days, in a world that is very much not necessarily driven by, but supported by commerce, financial exchange, information exchange, a business, as wacky as it may seem, is actually one of the greatest ways to reach the most people.
100%. And business is personal development on steroids too. So if you're somebody who likes to go within, well, stepping back out and going into the world is going to give you if you're willing to look at it, one of the biggest, most clear, reflective mirrors that you are able to find. Because you can sit with yourself. You can sit but you're going to bounce around in your own confirmation bias there sooner or later. At least I know for myself. And when we go out and we start putting a message out to the masses, well, we're going to find the eyes and the ears of the world seeing and listening back to us, reflecting the pieces of that message that we didn't know were there.
So you're saying that if you stay in the cave, it's actually really easy to be sitting, levitating in the lotus posture in an empty cave and on a 17-day fast. It's actually pretty easy to avoid all the most difficult parts of your what we'll call shadow, because there's nobody there to call you out on it. But when you go back into the world and you've got a handful of employees or clients or leads all mirroring you back to you, the chinks in your armor, if you want to look at it that way, are going to be cranked up to 11.
100%. And I believe even Buddhist monks had a term or an idea, and you may know this, about like the personal development trap, right? Where you start looking into yourself so much that it's like, well, it becomes this never-ending loop, and there's never any application or integration. And the magic happens in my opinion, in my belief, in my view of the world, through my pinhole through which I'm experiencing it, in becoming the puzzle piece that fits into the tapestry. Because we all are a puzzle piece that fits into that tapestry. And if we decide to pull that piece out and go sit in a cave somewhere, well, then there is literally less divinity in the world, in the ecosystem through which the energy is meant to flow. So taking that and applying it, well, now that's how we get to step in and truly create a magnetic, change-making brand.
Yeah, I think what the concept you're talking about is what Eckhart Tolle would refer to as the spiritual ego. Is you start off on this path of self-development, self-reflection. Your intentions are good to purify, to find what may be hidden in the deep, dark, basement-y abysses of our consciousness. And then, but the trap is identifying as the person who's doing those things. And that's how you get the people who've done 500 ayahuasca ceremonies and, and they refer to themselves as a spiritual person, whatever that means. And those people tend to be, at least from the outside perspective, some of the most like toxic, narcissistic people that you find, and they're really unable to relate to you. They're unable to relate to other people because they're really living in this little cage of, in quotes, self-development. But are they developing, or are they on just another hamster wheel?
And I get it, because like I've been there anytime I find a new modality, right? And it's like, oh, well, it's all imaginary. It's all, yes. And like, look at how you came into your monk's quarters that you're, on beautiful property that you're living in, by taking action and talking to people. Like, people think that just going within is the magic, but they never actually follow the nudges. And it's when you follow the nudges, when you see with the eyes of the world, you listen with the ears of the world, and you think with the mind of the world, aka the stuff that we all have access to that most people shut off in the name of going within. Well, that's when like the path unfolds in front of you. And that's also when true magnetism happens in a brand, whether it be a coaching brand or anything else, but especially a change-making coaching brand. Magnetism happens when you lean into the pieces that other people aren't leaning into. When you lean into the stuff that seems a little unconventional, when people are like, oh yeah, no, that you're obviously doing something right. What are you doing? Like, looks like things are going really well for you just from the outside. You're like, just doing my stuff, man. That's,
yeah. When you say unconventional, I think these days, in a lot of cases, that's probably the better, more efficacious path, because a fundamental issue we're running into and maybe circling around is the fact that medicine in general, whether it be for the physical body, for the mental body, for the spiritual body, it's all been commodified. And so the people serving the medicine want you to keep taking the medicine so that they can keep, so that you can keep paying them. And so, we can talk about this in terms of, plant medicine, pharmaceuticals, therapy. If you're going to therapy every single week for years and years and years and talking about what happened this week and never actually getting to the root, you're not taking very good medicine. Ideally, you'd be able to find the actual root. And this is what I love about the Enlifted Method, is it's so rapidly effective at not just diagnosing, but actually, dare I say, healing or releasing the root of the issue.
This is why I'm not giving out free sessions anymore, because the amount of people that, like, after just one session, there's still more to do, right? Like, oftentimes in 12 to 16 sessions, we can fill up with a client. And after one session, all of a sudden they feel better. A dark cloud is lifting. They've repaired friendships. They're making more money. Their ads all of a sudden start working for some weird reason. And it's like, all right, yeah, like, you're welcome. And there's that part of me that's like, cool, I'm happy to affect good change. And this is why I tell my clients who know the Enlifted Method not to give out free sessions. Because if you take and you get somebody feeling so good, and they've only went a quarter of the way. There's still a good chunk to walk. They've only broken the threshold. And they're like, I'm on the journey. I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Homie, we still got the abyss. We still got monsters to slay.
Mm-hmm.
There's still more work to be done. This is why I have started telling people, like, we can do a session and there is a deposit that can be applied to the rest of the work.
Mm-hmm.
It's just got to walk the whole journey.
Right.
Yeah.
I love, though, that from session one, people are experiencing value. We're immediately starting to plunge into, maybe not all the way into the abyss, but making some serious depth. The way I see it is like a well. Mm-hmm. And so, if you want to look at the conscious, the subconscious, whatever's below that, as this well, and you skim some off the top, more floats up to the surface. Yep. You skim some off the top, more floats up to the surface. It's unknown how deep it goes. There is a point that I think you've gotten to, and I felt this as well. It's like, okay, most of the dragons, the leviathans that were hiding in my well have been set free now. And now we're moving, we're flowing. Maybe little stuff will come up here and there, but you don't have that immense, that backpack of bowling balls that have been weighing you down every step of the way.
I like that analogy. And you can get most all of it. And what happens when there's a new well? Like, let's say this well is like general wellness and noise and stuckness. And then this well is business development. Mm-hmm. This well is our marriage. Well, we may go into business development and we may go into business development and find pieces that are coming up from that also bubbled into other wells. And it's showing up in this well differently. It's showing up. So this is why I talk with clients all the time, and I have testimonials from clients. There were things that I thought I had addressed that when it came to my business, I needed to look at again because they were showing up, creating resistance, creating turmoil, creating stress. And it was showing up in the way that they showed up in their content, the way that they showed up in making an offer, the way that they packaged their coaching product. And until they cleared that, they were forever running a business that was out of alignment. They were trying to sell something that somebody else told them they should sell. They were trying to make content somebody else told them they should make. They were trying to run packages and prices that somebody else told them they should run, as opposed to taking since I had the gym, principles over paradigms has been something that I've parroted over and over again, because there are proven principles in business. There are proven marketing principles, taking somebody from unaware to problem aware to solution aware to product aware to most aware. Like, that's when they're going to become a client. A lot of people are unaware, and then all of a sudden they become aware of a problem. Well, what's the solution? Got to walk them through those steps. And doing that with some chat GPT script of make my clients from unaware to most aware of my product, you're going to fade into a mountain of AI slop. However, if you can understand these principles, these marketing principles, and at the same time, turn on your magnet, which is your actual authenticity, which isn't just born out of some marketing bro saying, dude, you just got to show up and be vulnerable. Well, yeah, no shit. Like, I'm vulnerable, but it still feels like it's wrong. Yeah, because you're sharing somebody else's vulnerability. And you're also sharing it from a wounded place of like not addressing it. So
it sounds as if you're saying that entrepreneurship is the ultimate self-development path.
It absolutely is. And a lot of people use it to avoid self-development.
And how does that reflect in their actual business?
Oh, their business might make boatloads of cash, and they're always chasing the $100,000, $500,000, $1 million months, because for every new cash month, that stuff that they thought they were healing or running away from or dealing with is always right below the surface. Mm-hmm. And they think that more cash, more success, even more impact. This is the redemption loop that people get stuck in. Well, if I make more impact, then it'll heal the stuff inside of me. It'll make you feel better for a little bit until you actually deal with the stuff inside of you. It won't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, even a single session with a client, and now all of a sudden their ads are doing better without any actual tinkering of the ads, no algorithmic modifications, just an internal change.
Right.
I've always wondered, how is it happening that there are these multi-billion-dollar CEOs out there who haven't worked on themselves? They're a mess inside. They're obese. They have heart disease. They're on a boatload of medications. They have multiple divorces. But how are they becoming financially successful if we know that there is a direct, seemingly causative relationship between what's going on the inside and the dollar amount that's flowing into their business?
What impact is their financial success having? Let's look at that, because we talked last time, is money the root of all evil? And I said money without intention feeds evil.
Mm-hmm.
So, those CEOs that are out of shape, their marriage is a mess, this and that, like, how do people talk about the product or service with which that CEO made their money? How do people talk about that CEO? And not that what other people say is the supreme truth. And it'll start to paint a picture of whether they are operating with impact, operating with intention, operating from like true divinity,
Mm-hmm.
or whether they are just running on the fumes of their dad telling them they should have made the team.
Right.
Yeah.
I heard a guy say once on a podcast, I actually don't remember who it was who said this, so if you hear this and it's you, feel free to reach out. But he said that one of his main compasses in life, his North Star, was to live as if, to try to maximize the amount of people who would be at his funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Because if someone's at your funeral, you've impacted them, or you've impacted someone they know.
Right.
And so the more people you shoot for, and it sounds selfish on the surface of like, oh, I want to have all these people there, but you're not at your funeral.
No.
You're maybe you've reincarnated as a hamster by then. Who knows? But those people are coming together to celebrate not you, but the impact that you had. And I think that's a really cool metric to shoot for. Yeah. And so, these CEOs we're talking about who are, own yachts and, chains of KFCs and, who knows, whatever else. Who's going to be at their funeral?
Well, I mean, let's be real. Money is as much a drug as anything else. And as with any addiction pattern, until you look at what's driving that addiction pattern, you will continue to stay in that loop. Food tastes better with money in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's true. And up until a certain point, like, go get that bread, right? Like there is that freedom index, that happiness index that, like, once we hit that, it's like, oh, okay, I can breathe now. Once we can breathe, though, let's learn to actually breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Once we can breathe, let's learn, like, what was creating the constriction in the first place. Because there's people living under bridges that are happier than a lot of people with yachts.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the difference there?
Yeah, what do we do with that?
Man, like, one of my perennial favorite books is Atlas Shrugged. And it's like a libertarian, free market, Bible, so to speak, right? And it's like, hey, create a good thing, take it to market, make a lot of money. And that's not where, it's not the money that creates the happiness. It's the creating something good. It's the creation of it. It's so, if you create something lifeless and empty that serves only to feed the addiction pattern, that, oh, well, money's a good addiction. At least I'm not doing a bunch of crack. Cool. And we create something that creates impact, create something that has life, that feeds life, that is regenerative. That's the money we feel good about. And that's the money that our kids will go, oh yeah, I enjoy these vacations because I love how my parents came into this wealth.
Mm-hmm. That's actually pretty interesting. You're talking about a qualitative effect or a qualitative nature of money. So not every $100 is equal to every other $100. How did you get that? Where did it come from? What was the energy exchange to receive that? The dollar is just on the surface. It's a tag. What's in the box, though, that's hugely different. How you even spend the different types of money might affect the energy that goes to the person you're exchanging it with.
Yes.
How deep does that go?
Well, I mean, it starts with like the clients you enroll,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because whose money do you want in your bank account? You know, if you are only enrolling to have money and you enroll a bunch of misaligned clients, well, whose energy are you taking? Right? And now what kind of business does that build? And this is why from the start, building an authentic brand that says, that what are your hot takes? What are your values? And not just like a bullet point list. Like, what do they mean to you and how do you embody them? And like, what do you not like about your industry? Like, get real about it. And what do you do better? What are your aspirational identities? When we embody like that authentic brand from the start, which like brand sounds like branding. And like, yeah, thought goes into like the shirt I'm going to wear for a podcast. And I live in this stuff anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's true magnetism isn't born out of marketing. It's born out of the individual. And I talk with people all the time who have spent $40,000, $50,000 on mentors and haven't made a cent.
Mm.
And then I talk with people who have spent $8,000 to $10,000 and made a couple $100,000. The latter, they actually looked at what was standing in the way. The former, they were looking for an external fix. That's the difference.
Yeah, I think you're illustrating or illuminating a really important point that with a lot of things, and this doesn't just apply to business, I've been even looking at health this way, is because of this vast monetization of everything, we've been conditioned to always look outside of us for a solution. It's like, well, what are we willing to pay for the cure? The medicine, the strategy, the course, the program, whatever the heck it is, the coach. And what can we add to make the system function better? But there's no amount of addition that's going to cancel out the blockages that are there. So if you're looking at the human body as an example, these days, potentially more than any other time in history, we have microplastics, mycotoxins, heavy metals, lead, arsenic, cadmium, mercury, in our mouths, in our water, in our food, in our air, in our clothes, in our mattresses, in our lotions.
Yep.
There's no amount of, raw beef liver or glutathione capsules or nicotine patches that are going to, unless they're helping remove the problem,
right?
There's nothing you can add that's going to magically make those things go away. Those are the problem. They need to be removed. And so, that's a physical example. But when we're looking at it in business, or we're looking at it in relationships, or just we'll call it personal development, because there's not really a better term for it. There probably is a better term for it. What can you get out of the way, and can we save some energy by just removing these little roadblocks instead of burying the problem in mountains of supposed solutions?
People think business needs to be hard. And my clients often say, oh, it can be easy. And that they say that after they hit record months, because what we can get out of the way is that breakup that happened last year. That ex that didn't tell us that they loved us. We can get out of the way the other mentor who didn't help us as much, which a few years from now we're going to realize that we got value from them. And oftentimes we're running on these stories. I had one individual, again, somebody who I worked one story for. He had a record month last month. Worked one story for him of all the mentors he had invested in the past that didn't work. And he came back around to like, well, this stuff isn't working. The external stuff isn't working. I mean, all the way back to like, I am my joy or something like that. Like after we whittled it down word by word, homie looks at me and goes, dude, are you a wizard? Sure, we all are though. Like, so that's what we can get out of the way is the noise, right? Everybody's searching for more noise. And get it out of the way and you find the path.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't help but think of the Grinch as you were saying that. All the noise. He was onto something, simplicity. Yeah. Let's clear it out. Invite some space into the situation, invite some breath into the story, and see what happens. It's not crazy complicated. Yeah. Again, to praise the beauty and the simplicity of the Enlifted Method. It's not rocket science by any means. It's actually outrageously simple. Like it's almost too simple. How could it be as effective as it is? We're writing down our stories. We're slowing them down, and this is not new stories. This is stuff we've heard in our head billions of times. Let's just get it on paper, read it, breathe. Magic.
Literal magic. I toe the line on how much I talk about this stuff, seeing as multiple people have called me a shaman without me prompting it now.
Let's cross that line.
Let's cross that line.
Let's get that line out of the way. Let's Neptune glyph that line.
Well, I was talking to somebody last night who he saw my reel. He's like, yeah, I better get some kickback for that. I remember calling you a shaman a few months back, and I had totally forgot about that. Mm-hmm. Now, this individual, I had thought about him earlier in the day. I was like, man, I haven't talked to him in a while. I wonder how he's doing, if he's deciding to move forward with his business or not, because I'm not going to shame somebody into enrolling. And if your life is too busy right now and you truly believe that, then it's not on me to convince you to start, right? And I was thinking about him yesterday. All of a sudden, he messages me talking about he wants to really dive in and jump in October. So, yes, like, I'm psychic, and I believe that a lot of other people actually are too. I think this is the eyes and the ears of the world that we all have access to. But when we wake up and we dive into our phone and we start scrolling, if you're an online coach, you start scrolling because for some reason, the dopamine you're getting feels like maybe if I scroll, I'll find a client. Like I'll just
somewhere
in this abyss of mind rot, I will find a client.
Who's just asking for all your services.
Somebody is going to post and say, will so-and-so please let me hire them?
Right. They have money in hand.
And I'll see that post, and I'll be the first one to see that post. Like, no.
That'd be nice, man.
It'd be super nice. And a lot of my clients, and I don't necessarily teach this inside I did when I was health and fitness coach. All of a sudden, they're slowing down watching the sunrise. And they're having record months. So you can slow down and also be more efficient in your business. And this whole hustle and grind mentality from the bro marketers who still haven't recovered from their parents' bankruptcy, it's broken. And those are the people who burn out. Those are the people whose clients burn out. Those are the people whose clients come to me for help and who I save their businesses in one call. Hey, whatever. I'm just your friendly neighborhood business shaman.
And are you even talking about their business in that first call?
No, some people come to me and they're like, yeah, man, I wanted to pick your brain about like cost per acquisition and KPIs, and you just had me write some shit down, and now like I love my business again. Yeah.
So it's not really about the business.
If you have the base level skills to grow a business, you don't need another system. Everybody, people enroll and they get this skill set, but then it doesn't work for some reason for them like it did for other people. So they go and they try and find another skill set or another system. Well, it is a system that's broken. It's their nervous system though. And it's storing so much noise and so much upregulation that they are unable to slow down and see how to fit the system that they have in hand into their business seamlessly.
So would you say that noise is causing them to make suboptimal decisions, or is it even more mystical than that, and then that noise is actually creating or showing up as a dysfunctional business?
Yes. Both. That noise most definitely causes suboptimal decisions and a lack of follow through and effort, if you will. it's also weird. Weird, the etymology of weird is of having the ability to control destiny. So you get that noise out of the way, all of a sudden weird things start happening. I've had clients who we get some big noise out of the way and they get a bunch of inbound leads. They get people who were going to sign up 3 months ago, all of a sudden come back saying they're ready to start. And there's more to business than just this magic, right? Like you have to be out there taking the action too. Like you don't, sorry guys, like you don't get to just come in, work some stories, and all of a sudden you're making $15,000 a month. I wish and if you're taking the right actions and you have everything out of the way, well, that's magic. Because I mean, you can feel it. You can feel through someone's content whether they are needy, whether they are in a spot of authority, whether they're grasping at straws. Regardless of words and tonality, it is a felt experience. So when you move the noise out of the way, when you move the I'm not good enough out of the way, when you move the this will never work out of the way and trade it in for the opposite stories, that's the shit that icons are built out of.
So what's left at that point when somebody is, we'll say, making contact with their authentic self, whatever that is? What are the motives at that point? Why does someone want to build a business? Why does someone want to share their skill set, their knowledge? What's the actual core drive there that you've seen?
Depends on the person. Oftentimes it's, the simple word is freedom. And a lot of people have that misunderstood. People think that freedom means that they get to do what they want when they want. Freedom is the will to be responsible to oneself. So the core driver for a lot of people is to feel like the weight is off their shoulders. So that once they have that weight off their shoulders, what is the core driver for money then? Well, to live a good life. What does that mean for the individual, though? And this is where some people might only want, guys, I know $50,000 and $100,000 a month businesses are the thing right now. Some people might only want an $8,000 to $12,000 a month business, right?
And that'll probably get them to that, what is it, the happiness index?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we also have incarnated in a time where we live in a theme park of a world. So if you want to go make $15,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 a month, and that feels right in your body, in your heart, and your nervous system, cool. Go do it. Like, make sure it's what we want. So for my clients, I have them look a decade out. Successful people think in decades, and if we set our goal in decades, we can build a compass that is rooted from within, as opposed to, well, I want to make $100,000 because I want to make $100,000. No. Take the money out of the equation. Where do you want to be when you open your eyes in 10 years? Who do you want to be laying next to you? What other family members do you want in the house? What animals? Where is that house? Is it on a mountain on the coast, on a bunch of property landlocked? Is it in a city? What do you want your day to look like? What do you want it to feel like? What do you want it to smell like, to taste like? From there, write it down all the way through until you close your eyes. Now that's a compass. So many mentors will be like, man, you got to figure out your why. What's your why? People don't have it that whittled down. They're like, well, because I want to retire my parents. That might be a why. That's not a vision. That's not a compass. Saying I want to retire my parents is saying I want to fly out west. Writing down the day a decade from now when you're on vacation with your parents after you retire them, that's knowing which resort you're going to and how you're spending your days. There's a difference.
I think there might be a little bit of danger in just stopping at finding your why too, because there's layers to why. So the current why that we've been operating on may actually be a symptom of a deeper why.
Exactly.
Maybe a symptom of a deeper why. And oh no, we've gone a few layers deep and now we're hitting pain points.
Yep.
Now we're realizing, oh, we're actually running away from something. We're actually trying to avoid feeling what we felt when we were 5 years old and we painted a picture for our dad and he said it was trash. And now we think, I want to make $100,000 a month. But if you actually look at the mechanics of it, we're trying to cover up that memory.
I want to make
from when we were
$100,000 a
5.
month so my dad's proud of me.
Exactly.
Well, cool. How about we just go look at that story from when dad insulted the picture when you were 5, and then we'll get to what we actually want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the magic right there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why, like, I had one client, Todd, he came to me thinking, like, he was going to build a nutrition coaching business. And we kept just leaning into the right path for him. Next thing you know, he's got, like, people on the board of hospitals asking him to run workshops and enrolling, like, people in, like, state legislature, like, actual, like, powerful dream clients falling into his lap, right? And this isn't born out of, like, hey, why do you want to do this? It's born out of, like, those layers, right? If your why is, well, because I watched my parents file for bankruptcy and I never want that for my kids. Cool. But why is that a driving force? Well, because I saw it hurt for them. Well, how do you know it hurt for them? Well, because I felt it. Cool. Let's write that down. Because they weren't present for me. Because I could tell, you know, and once we get there, it's like, okay. Maybe I don't need this business. Or maybe I do, and I just want to operate it differently. Maybe I don't need to be attached to it from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. I don't know. What do I know? I only have 1,200 hours coaching this shit one-to-one.
Right. You'll get there. Eventually you'll understand something. Earlier you realized that, you mentioned that the etymology of weird is something along the lines of one's ability to influence his own destiny, his or her own destiny. What does this say about society right now that word is now considered a mild insult? Oh, you're weird. I mean, if I said to you, oh, Chase, you can influence your own future. Ugh, I don't want anything to do with that. Why is that the norm?
Go to school, pass your tests, get a job, buy a house, pay taxes, and die.
Who benefits from that?
Oh, man, that's a whole different conversation.
Does anyone benefit from that? Or is this a lie, maybe a self-sustaining story, a collective story, rooted in some type of scarcity? We're desperately reaching out for some sense of security, thinking that that's something that comes from the outside. And I think now more than ever, it's becoming pretty obvious that doesn't work. These people aren't happy. These people are dying after they retire. They've been told their whole life, like, one day you will have freedom. Yeah. You just have to grind for decades. You may not like what you're doing, but one day you'll be free. And then they die.
Again, free. Like, are they responsible to themselves in retirement? Like, if you've set up this, like, retirement account where, okay, now you get to live with a certain amount of budget each month, like, is that freedom? Or is it still living on this plan that was set by something or somebody else? You know, I mean, there was, what was it, 1923, one of the Yellowstone series precursor shows. There's a guy on the streets in town selling a refrigerator, I think. It's like, well, how do we pay for it? Well, you finance it through me. Well, so I'm paying you to have that so I have more time in my day? Sounds like I'm just working for you then. And it's this loop that we've fallen into that we work for conveniences, then we sit around at night overstimulating ourselves with screens and stories and other people's narratives because we are designed to be moving towards a goal. You know, we are goal-seeking mechanisms. So if we don't know what our vision is, and if we are just going off of Instagram telling us that we need the watch and the car and the girl. Good luck. Good luck staying in this game for a year, 5 years, or a decade. And I think this is why a lot of people get into online coaching. They feel in their bones that it's not a long-term thing. And they feel that because they're playing somebody else's game. And when they start playing their game, they can see the path as it unfolds before them.
And you're saying that brings them out of the coaching path?
Depends on the person. There's a lot of people who are meant to be coaching. And there are other people who are meant to use coaching as a stepstone. There are people who coaching will wake them up to other things and introduce them to a network where they may use their coaching skills. The online coaching brand that made them some good money was a stepping stone to the next thing.
What about you?
This is the thing. The skill set that I'm practicing is the thing forever. There's been a couple of clients that are outside the mold of the online coach.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
I think it's cool that you don't necessarily have to have every aspect of this thing figured out.
You can't.
To be a fulfilled, joyful, impactful, powerful human being.
And when people accept that they don't have to have it figured out, well, that's when things just start happening. Because if you think that you have to have it figured out and you're laser focused on this Lego needs to fit on this one, needs to fit on this one, well, something comes up over here and you miss it. Something comes up over here and you miss it. However, sometimes if you're banging on door 1 and it's locked, door 2 will spring open.
Mm-hmm.
And stay open to it.
I have this funny idea that I've been noticing over the last couple of years, and that is that maybe there's some type of script or path or track that our life is naturally meant to unfold upon. And, well, we haven't been told this. We've been told it's like every man for himself out there. It's
right.
Everybody's a shark. You got to fight to survive. You know, scarcity, scarcity, scarcity. You got to get it because if you don't, they will, and then you're behind. When you just let go and you get out of your own way, you let go of the stories that are driving you into dysfunctional directions, usually some type of fear or pain avoidance,
yep.
Or trying to get back at somebody, whatever it is. If you are actually able to let go, and this is where the breath really, really helps, things tend to naturally just unfold. Like you said, you get a story out of the way. Now you have leads calling you from 3 months ago who you'd assumed had moved into other directions.
Yeah.
I dabble just a bit with astrology, and one of the greatest things that I've taken away from that discipline is the fact that there is a framework that's underneath all this. You can't see it, and you won't even notice it unless you pay attention and you get your own nonsense out of the way. Yeah. And when I say nonsense, I mean these stories, these things that are rooted in scarcity, rooted in fear. If you just surrender to the flow and you act on those inspired moments.
And you act on those inspired moments.
Magic happens.
That's where so many, and this is going to be for as many conversations you and I have around business and alignment, this is going to be a recurring theme. Because as you're saying that, just surrender to the flow, this and that. And people surrender to their own anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole lot different.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get whatever's creating that anxiety and creating that want to just stay in your bedroom on your meditation cushion doom scrolling out of the way. And then, the inspired action is, there is a higher return on that action than any forced marketing bro, so-and-so said I need to do this could ever have.
Mm-hmm.
It's, speaking of astrology, any cool stuff coming up we should be aware of?
All the time, man. There's always some nutty stuff.
What about you? You remember enough about my chart?
I remember a little bit about it. Yeah. Let's see. You're Taurus rising. You're a Cancer, right? Which puts your sun in the
Sag moon with I had those Sagittarius moon with like a couple other placements in
Yeah.
Sagittarius and like a couple on the same arc minute. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what stood out to me is your chart is very communication heavy. Anyone with third house placements is always going to be, and so that would be where your Cancer is, your sun. Your sun is your shining, glowing, the intellect, the character that you're primarily here to play. Most people know their sun sign.
Yeah.
It basically goes month by month.
Yeah.
A lot more complex than that, but it's a good place to start for sure. Our calendar's built off the sun. Our entire system of time is built off the sun. Even when somebody says, I'll be there in 10 minutes, well, what's a minute?
Yeah.
It's a fraction of a degree of the sky through which, from our perspective, the sun is moving. So even down to the literal minutia, we're always talking about the sun.
Yeah.
It kind of is the structure of our society. So when you have it in the third house, this is a house of communication. This is talking. This is giving speeches. This is regularly publishing things. It's taking information and exchanging it with the world in a meaningful way. And you're doing it. This is clearly what you're meant to do. And in terms of what's coming up, we're actually in a really, really fascinating time right now. So if you're looking at the planets of the solar system as gears, how I like to look at them, these are nodes that are illustrating different cycles of nature. And everybody knows there's cycles in nature. I mean, most people will agree, oh, I look at the moon one day and I look at it a different day, it looks different.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at a calendar, you realize this is mathematically cyclical. You can predict when it's going to look like that again in exactly a month. But there's other cycles too. Some of them more slow, some of them more subtle. But if you map these transits, so these are the moving of the planets over time onto history, you notice some pretty obvious correlations. I mean, you don't have to run any algorithms to figure out that when things like the Berlin Wall being torn down, or 9/11, or Mount St. Helens erupting, or the Renaissance, these things are indicated by these planetary aspects. So right now we're in this really cool time because the outer gears, so these are the slow moving outer planets, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus. These have more to say about the collective world, global events, rather than stuff in individuals' lives. And they've all recently changed signs, and now they're interacting with each other, something called a minor grand trine. It's just a geometric aspect. Doesn't happen very often. And when these outer planets shift, big things move. And so you have things like Pluto and Aquarius. This is the wacky, weird, obscure stuff like, emergent technologies that nobody saw coming that take over really quickly. So obviously this is stuff like AI. This is stuff like aliens being disclosed, on the news. You don't have to go into a Reddit forum anymore or go onto the dark web to watch a documentary. We have government officials on live television saying, hey, there's some weird stuff out there. We found a lot of it. We don't really know where it's from. Are they being truthful? Who knows? Right. But the fact that it's being talked about in the public eye is going to change the culture inevitably. You also have this Neptune-Saturn conjunction, period really that we're in. And so you have these two opposing forces of Neptune being the boundary dissolving nebulous unification of all things vibe, and Saturn being the heavy planet of time and structure and weight and lead. And so you have those two things interacting. What could happen is something like a spectral revolution where our science and technology that we've used to measure and quantify the material universe is now being used to measure previously unquantifiable things. So things that were considered pseudoscience or woo, well, we might be able to measure those soon. What if we could measure your consciousness? What if we could literally detect and measure the quality of a ghost spirit in the room from someone who's deceased? These sound insane.
What if
that might be coming?
What if we can pick up psychic thoughts with an instrument?
Exactly.
Yeah. That'll get noisy.
I mean, we're already doing it, right?
Yeah.
What is a phone? I can have a thought and put it on a where? What exactly? What is Wi-Fi? Yeah. And why can I send you a thought through a little, few-inch silicon
This is where
cracker?
people will be like, "Oh man, these loons. That's microprocessor chips and this and that."
Right?
Yeah. Okay. Because we understand.
Can
that.
you make one of those? Do you know anyone who can?
Right. Fair. Yeah. Cool. That's a fun tangent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're living in a really exciting time. I don't think anybody knows exactly where it's going to go, but it's whenever the world is shifting, the smart ones will pay attention And because there's a lot of new opportunities that may have not been possible previously. And so to summarize that, it's a great time to start a business. If you've got an idea, launch it, because in many, many ways, there's never been a better time than now. You know, the technology is supporting you. You've never had as easy access as you do right now to taking an idea, putting it into practice, and sharing it with the world.
Boom. Well, on that note, if you guys want to start a business, come holler at your boy.
Come on down.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you lean into that, and you know, on that note, it's interesting because I'm seeing a lot more people feel called to really accelerate their coaching, to really jump in. It's, again, listening with the ears and seeing with the eyes of the world. I'll lean into those nudges, because when the universe has a job to do, it sends multiple people. And I know that I have sat on my hands on an idea and seen somebody else launch that same thing. I know that I have heard stories of authors who like had a book idea in their head, fiction book, see someone write the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody out there is thinking about starting a certain coaching brand, or thinking that they have this super authentic message, but it's a little out there, and I'm not sure if people will get it because it's not what the market wants. I promise you, either you do it, or in 6 months, you're going to be seeing somebody else make a lot of money doing it.
Can I share an example of that?
Yes.
When I was 7 years old, I was brushing my teeth, and I finished brushing my teeth, and I rinsed my mouth with Listerine or some type of mouthwash. Brand doesn't matter. And I had this thought of, what if we created a toothpaste with mouthwash in it? 2 tasks, 2 products, now 1. I was 7. I did nothing with the idea. Months later, Colgate 2-in-1, toothpaste plus scope mouthwash. I don't know the numbers on it. I'm going to guess they made somewhere in the millions of dollars. I have to live with that now forever. And I'm glad that I do, because it inspires me to take action when I have an idea. But these days, if you're 7 years old and you have an idea, you could probably make it happen.
Yeah, $1 million a month YouTube channel.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool, brother. Well, as much as I'm sure the people love listening to us ramble, we'll start putting a cap on this one.
Cool.
Save the tangents for the next one.
Yeah.
We started at Magnetic Brand, ended up talking about astrology, and came back to listen to the nudges. And if there's anything for the people to take away from this one, I think it is to be truly magnetic in your brand, in your life, in your content, with attracting clients. It requires peeling back enough of the noise so that you can actually listen to the nudges. That's proven too often to argue with.
Yeah, I agree. It's not always a screaming voice that is calling you to your purpose or your higher calling. Sometimes it's a whisper. And if that whisper is quieter than the story that's been screaming at you since you were 5, take some time. Why don't you go into that story, clear it out, see what's left.
Well said. Until the next time.
Goodbye, everybody.